Hello and welcome back to the Airshow room. I hope you've all had a very good Christmas and a happy new year. And we are now in 2026 for this, what looks to be turning out already. And I'm not, I'm touching wood. There's the touch of the wood on the desk. It may be quite a good Airshow season. My name is Dan. I am your host. And I am joined by my two co-hosts, Harry.
Hello.
And Chloe.
Hello.
And, well, we went quiet. I think we'll get straight into things. We kind of had a little quiet little period between Christmas and New Year. A few air shows teasing things, like Midlands going, we've got some cool announcements in January. But little did we know, the first air show to announce something straight off the bat and making their debut at Shuttleworth, it is the Flying Bulls. We discussed them in the last episode of the podcast. We talked about how amazing it is for Duxford to pull them. Well, that entire contingent, again, all of those aircraft are going to the Shuttleworth Festival of Flight Air Show on the 27th and the 28th of June. And if you did not hear our last podcast or did not know what's going to Duxford, that is their B-25 Mitchell, it is their F4U Corsair, it is their P51 Mustang, it's their P38 Lightning, and it's also their Bearcat as well. I believe that is everything because it seems like it's loads and loads of things. Can I just say, for a Shuttleworth debut, the fact that they've never been before, well done to Shuttleworth for getting these because it is an absolute steal. And with the curved display line, I am thinking of topside galores. Okay, there is rumours that have been coming out apparently that a few of those aircraft will be operating from Old Warden, from the airfield. We obviously shall see if that gets confirmed by the organisers. But, I mean, someone else take the stage from here because I could talk about the Flying Bulls from forever. What a pull this is! What a brilliant debut for Shuttleworth.
Yeah, I'd have to agree as well. If people remember from the last episode, I had my little rant about these are some of my favourite I love older aircraft, so getting able to see these again will be amazing. I'm very excited just to see them, especially the Corsair and the P51s. They're some of my favourites. I'm a massive World War II buff, so these two are some of my favourite American aircraft. I know, the Americans do make good stuff. Well,
I mean, if you talk to my great granddad, it would the only thing that they ever made that was good was the C-47. But hey, it depends on perspective, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. Funny, that's the first time I've heard that.
It's not the first time you've heard it. I bring it up every time we go near a C-47.
Yes.
So, as far as we're concerned, these are the first visiting participants from the Shuttleworth collection and coming in for the air show. There has been an announcement though this week that a new edition, newly restored to flying condition, will be joining for said shows, not just the summer one, but I think multiple shows, is it believed to be.
The D'Souza one, which will be at the Wings and Wheels Air Show.
Okay, so it's being at the Wings and Wheels.
Wings and Wheels.
Which was, again, Shuttleworth pulling out two things straight off the bat. Whether or not we see that aircraft at future shows, I guess they're going to sort of test it out to start with and go on from there. But again, another very rare collection, which, I am probably ashamed to admit, being an airshow buff, that we have never ever been to Shuttleworth. It is never a show that has just lined up correctly in terms of weekends free, etc. But I think from what I've discussed with Chloe, we've talked about it briefly with Harry, we are all pretty much on the same page that Shuttleworth might have to be ticked off on this year's airshow list.
Yeah, especially with the D'Souza being the only one in existence at Shuttleworth.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that we will end up ticking this off. I know we were discussing just before starting this, Harry, that did you have dates ready for it? And you said yes. This is on top of the entire Shuttleworth collection, by the way, that's going to already be at the show. I mean, I could literally go through an endless list of different aircraft and replicas that they have there. I mean, if any of you have never known Shuttleworth, first of all, get yourself down there to an air show this year because I am ashamed that I've never been before. But they have one of the rarest collections of just aircraft you will see nowhere else in the entire world. Just random things that necessarily, you'd not get flying at another air show because ultimately they probably can't get to another airfield. You know, I'm thinking of things like the Wren that they have. It's a tiny little aircraft. It barely gets off the ground. You know, the wind speed needs to be below like 5 miles an hour for it to be able to display at the show. So there are lots and lots of things. Obviously, you've got things like the Havilland Comet in its bright red colour scheme that are Shuttleworth regulars that we always see. So I think this for Shuttleworth is a great start, and it's following on from so many accolades from last year. You know, I've seen people talk about online how good Shuttleworth was last year. You know, people branded it probably the best show of 2025. And, well, they're pretty much starting up to be this again for this year. Hopefully we're going to get going. And I know Harry will like it because he loves his historical stuff, including anything from World War One, World War Two. So he's going to absolutely love everything that's there.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the Great War display team. I've seen them in the past, and I absolutely love seeing that these aircraft being flown to show an example of how far aircraft and air combat has actually changed.
Well, thank you for the segue, Harry. The Great War display team. They announced an air show recently. And it's a new one to the airshow calendar. Or, well, new in a sense. It's the Hampshire Air Festival. There was news that sort of related just before Christmas that there would be a new airshow coming to the airshow scene. Hampshire Air Festival that's at Thruxton Aerodrome. It's also a racetrack as well. Has go-karts there and stuff, and they also do racing around it's an old airfield. It's not operational. And this will be on the 12th and 13th of September in 2026. It does clash with the Battle of Britain show at Duxford, for anyone wondering. And they have announced 2 participants so far to their flying display. One which is the Great War display team, and one which is the brilliant Richard Goodwin and his jet Pitts. For a new air show, brilliant start.
Yeah, especially with Rich Goodwin. Everyone loves him.
Yeah, I think the amount of times that I've seen Richard Goodwin, it's countless times now in his Pitts. Especially the jet one. He kind of evaded me for a couple of years and evaded us for a couple of years. We tried to find him for a couple of years. He went to Cosford with his just normal Pitts in 2024.
I think it was 24, yeah.
So we sort of saw him in his old Pitts, which is, again, heavily modified. It's still a brilliant display. But we finally got to see him last year at Duxford with his jet Pitts, which, brilliant display. The fact that you've got a biplane that then has 2 engines strapped to the side of it, he's an absolute nutcase, but a brilliant nutcase.
More people need to do that.
More people do need to do that, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wow, great start. I mean, the Great War display team, I've only ever seen them twice. Brilliant sort of bringing back the history of the Great War and looking at the aircraft that were involved. They have a few replicas, a few actual aircraft. And thank you to their social media, whoever runs their social media, for sharing our post. Thank you for that. Honestly, it's a great start for the show, and I'm really, really intrigued to see where this goes, because in an age of air shows disbanding, you know, we've lost Bournemouth. We had Sywell come back for a year. It is now unfortunately gone again. It's nice to have these shows back.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very much so. It's good to, that they're getting more types of air shows, especially lots more, because obviously you've always got your big ones that you have each year, but it's nice to see that there are other ones being able. It just gets more people to experience aircraft. And
Absolutely.
Especially with Hampshire, obviously there's one, and I think they picked a very good first theme, which is the Age of Flight, and which is why I'm very happy that the Great Wall display team has been confirmed there, because it's all well and good talking about, aircraft have done this, they're like this now, but actually being able to see where, at least close to the time where aircraft have only just been developed, because, I mean, the first flight was only, in the span of human history, only over 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing where we've come, hasn't it? Like, if you look at the first ever aircraft, the Wright brothers 100 years ago to where we are now,
it's insane.
It is. It's absolutely insane. And yeah, like you say, great theme to sort of go. And I mean, I guess the 2 themes that they've got so far, bar there not being a fighter jet, it's pretty much the 2 opposite ends of the pinnacle of engineering as well. You've got Pitt's S2S Special that has jet engines attached to the side, and then you have Great Wall biplanes. I think that is, as a contrast for the theme, just as a starting point.
And
I
even
mean,
so, sorry, I was about to add on to that. They've even got potentially the future of air stuff, because I mean obviously they have a drone display, and as we
yes.
all know that drones are beginning to appear more in the skies alongside regular aircraft.
Yes, that's a good again segue to. They have announced that there will be, on the Saturday evening of the show, there is going to be an evening display of some sorts. All we know is so far is they are going to have a drone display of, I assume, lots of these little drones that make pictures and stuff in the sky. But also they have teased there is more to come from that. So maybe some pyrotechnic aircraft. Again, we don't know what's coming from them. Absolutely looking forward to hear what they have to do as a show, because we are absolutely in need of these more shows. Obviously, it's unfortunate that they are on the same weekend as the Battle of Britain show, and it's, some people will have a toss-up between going to that or going to the other, because they are quite opposite ends of, the country. Duxford's in Cambridgeshire, and this is quite well off south of Swindon, so, it's going to be difficult for some people to get to both. I know we've discussed it. We don't know what we're doing yet, so we shall see. You never know, if they get a couple of cool more announcements that go with their Festival of Flight. I mean, you may see me changing my decision and not going to Duxford Battle of Britain Airshow.
Which would be insane.
It would be. Just as a fun little fact as well, was looking through some of their social media posts, and someone commented whether or not they could do racing on the in the morning around the track that's on the airfield, and then in the afternoon have the flying display, which they did comment back and say probably not for this first one, but they have looked into the possibility of that, which would just be a very unique air show, having a bit of racing in the morning and then going to flying in the afternoon.
Yeah, I think that would honestly be very very unorthodox, but I think it end up bringing a lot of all different, like, you bring it. Because the planes bring in the airheads, and then the racing will end up bringing some motorheads in, which would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. The tickets are on sale for that now. They went on sale in about November, I believe, or December. So if you are interested in that, go have a look at their social media, go have a look at their website, and yeah, buy some tickets. I mean, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on it. If anyone from the Hampshire Air Festival would like to come on and talk about what they're going to be doing, feel free. We're absolutely all ears, because we want to hear about these new air shows that are going to be taking place in, 2026 and beyond. Okay, speaking of air festivals, we're going to move over to the Midlands Air Festival, which have announced just one participant, which is in the scheme of things of going through different air shows this year. Is not that much into the new year. However, with the contingent we talked about a couple of weeks ago, they have added the extra 300S that will be flying both on the Saturday and the Sunday. It was there last year as well. It's a brilliant little display, having lots of tumbles, tail slides, being thrown about the sky, and is being flown by
Chris Burkett.
Who is a renowned display pilot, been all over the world, I believe.
And he's also the CEO of Flow Solutions.
Okay. Honestly, it's a very good display. It's a really good catch for Midlands. It's as an air show, Midlands has definitely become one that we decide to go to every single year now, because, I mean, it's cool. It's a very different venue, and I like these sort of air shows that are different, because it gives you a different feel. It's nice. You have your classic air shows where you go, you put your chairs up and you hope the wind doesn't blow them off or someone moves them, and then you go and have a look at the things on the ground, where you've got things like Midlands where you've got a nice bowl, they have the model airplanes in the morning. It's honestly just a really, really nice little venue for an air display to take place, and I'm really, really looking forward to going potentially again this year, even with the little teasers that they've thrown in, things like look out this January for some big announcements. I think we could probably guess. I'm willing to put a leg out here, put some limb out here, and say that I think we're probably going to get some Flying Bill stuff at a lot of UK air shows this year. I think they're on a UK tour. I think it's probably also going to lead up to their DC6 and their P38 going to Oshkosh in 2026. The Oshkosh in 2026. So, yeah, it's a brilliant sort of addition to start with. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a whole contingent of Flying Bull stuff announced at Midlands later throughout this January. And I'm sure we'll discuss them on the next show. Okay. Right, to the big one then. It was not only Shuttleworth that was the big contributors to the airshow scene, or the airshow announcements through January, as we had Old Buckenham just after we recorded the last podcast. They decided to pull out a wide range of participants that we're going to discuss for their show this year. And it's literally either or of the spectrum in terms of what they're going to be discussing. So would anyone like to start me off with what they're bringing?
So yes, regarding Old Buckenham, one of the first things they've announced is the P47 Thunderbolt is returning, which is very nice to see. I love that little guy.
Yep. So Nellie's back, and as well from Sywell.
Yes, it's very cool to see. Other interesting thing, I'd say one very interesting aspect I'd like to bring up, and we might be skipping this a little bit here, but I'm very interested to see, well, welcoming back at least, the world's only electric aircraft display team, the Nebaware Electric Arrows, which is very interesting because I'll be honest, it's the first time I'm hearing of them. Yeah,
so this is actually the first time that I heard of the display team this year. They fly the Velis Electro, which has been, if any of you have been to React before, it's been on static at React a couple of times. They were founded in 2022 and have now been flying for, this will be their fourth consecutive airshow season. You've got Sam Watmer, also known as Sparky 1, who is their lead, and then you've got Alex Rayner, who is Sparky 2, who is their second pilot. They've been flying for a while now. Both of them have extensive sort of flying history of flying for a long period of time. And the only reason that we don't see these at a lot of other air shows is because the aircraft that they fly, it only has 50 minutes of cruise flight. So they can't really get to other air shows. You know, you think of these air shows like that are sort of out the way. You think about Hampshire Air Festival. They have to have an airfield within 50 minutes of also their display that is going to be able to charge them up. And at Old Buckenham, they have installed a set of new electric chargers that will be using over the display weekend, which again is great to see, great to hear. And yeah, it's just such a weird thing, but I guess it's a thing that we are going to start seeing over the next probably next 5 to 10 years. We are going to see these sorts of display teams of electric aircraft. They are coming on the market. I was reading through their website, and they expect, as part of their group, which they use it as a sort of trainer and training on electric aircraft, is that they expect to go from having they have about 15 at the moment. They expect eventually to have around 70 of these aircraft. So they are going to be aircraft that are coming into production quite soon.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting because, as you said, obviously with the nature of how things are changing, we're seeing a lot more electric vehicles now. They're starting to be refined, and they're actually now at the point where they are capable of doing such things as shows, and actually be able to attend a lot more events. So I'm very much excited to see this electric display team. I'm always wondering, because normally we're so used to hearing loud, like the roaring of like loud engines or jet engines, but it'd be interesting to see how, assuming obviously them being electric, it'll be relatively quiet.
I guess it depends how much noise the propeller makes, doesn't it?
That is true, yeah. So the propeller could be making all the noise, but I'd say probably in comparison to regular jet and other such aircraft, that they'll be on the quieter side. Not too quiet, but quieter than what we would expect.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And speaking of displays that you don't see necessarily about a lot, it is Peter Davies, and his autogyro will be for the first time displaying at Old Buckenham Airshow. We've seen this display at Midlands Air Festival before. It's a great, absolutely brilliant flying display. He has been flying these aircraft for over 2,500 hours, and yeah, it is one of the displays that It's really low to the ground. It's very dynamic. There's lots of slow pass, high speed, sort of flinging about the auto gyro. And it's honestly a very cool display. Now, it looks like it has two rotors. So if you've ever seen the auto gyro before, it has a propeller on the back and it has what looks like a helicopter rotor on top. But actually, it's just a free spinning blade that works as part of the gyro. And it auto generates its own lift using that when it flies in normal flight. So it's kind of a weird setup of an aircraft, but they've been around for ages. And yeah, it's a brilliant display. Throwing lots of the aircraft about, and I'm sure it'll become very much a quick favourite of the Old Buckenham crowd or this year.
Yes, I'm hoping that is the case as well. Yes, I think the next one, the Ultimate Warbirds, pair of the pair of P51s going by their names, Jersey Jerk and Hurry Home Honey, which I must say are absolutely amazing names, and I've always loved on older aircraft the names they give their planes. So it'll be very exciting to see, maybe in a history buff, seeing more P51s flying. So I'm excited to see that split, to see that pair of P51s.
Absolutely, and it's a new P51. We had Jersey Jerk come to the UK a couple of years ago now, but Hurry Home Honey is a new aircraft that hasn't even flown yet. We don't even know what it looks like. Last time we knew, it's come over in a container and it has not flown since. Though, with a quick Google to look at, had this scheme been previously photographed or used by another aircraft, and it had, it is a silver chrome Mustang, like most of them are, except the entire top part of the aircraft is green. It has D-Day stripes, and then on the front part, on the nose and the propeller, it's got yellow and red checker, or checker pattern, which, again, is very different to the Mustangs that we have in UK and in Europe already, and it's going to be great to see as part of the pairs display, which it wouldn't even surprise me if they chuck it together with the P47 at some point over the weekend as well. Yeah, it's amazing that we have these warbirds coming to the UK, not only from participating nations like Austria with the Flying Bulls, but we now have more warbirds like the P51 Mustang coming back into the hands of people that want to fly them about, want to show them about air shows, and we have these sorts of things here with the new Hurry Home Honey, which is a great name. I know Chloe was speaking to me about it before. She was talking about this great name because of the wives as part of, all they wanted really was their husbands to come home and not die in battle in World War II. So it's kind of a great homage to that as well, that is a name given to one of the Mustangs.
Yeah, very appropriate.
And then finally for Old Buckenham, we have the Cat 10 flown by Christophe Simon. I hope I'm pronouncing that in my French accent, or the best French accent I'm going to have correct. Which, honestly, he is a world-renowned display pilot. He got the Bill Hantry Best Display at Cosford in 2023. One of the best displays I have seen with a Cap 10, or just any aircraft really. It's really dynamic. It's throwing the aircraft about quite a lot, and he's just a brilliant display pilot, wiring the crowds with an aircraft that almost isn't, it's not your extra 300. It's not your very quick and nippy. It's not going to have the same roll rate. It's not going to have the same G tone. However, when you look at the display, you don't notice that because he flies it so well.
Yes, which is very nice. That would be probably I believe this would be my first time actually seeing a Central Fight, if I'm recalling correctly. So
I don't think you came to that show with us at Cosford in 23 or 24. So
no, I don't believe I did. So I was very much looking forward to it.
Great, lovely. Right, then a little segment to end on then this podcast, which has been very, very fun talking about the airshow stuff that we've talked about, is we're going to look back at our key sort of highlights, or we're going to pick one highlight from last year's airshow season that we thought was our most favourite moment. Would you like me to start? Would you like to go first? Would anyone like to go first? No? Me? Just me? Okay, I'll go first. Yeah. So, my highlight was at Riyadh, and it was the pair of Czech Sokols that was not announced as being a pairs display. It was announced to be a solos display due to the fact the aircraft was going out of retirement at the end of 2025 and 2026. And wow, what a brilliant display it was. It was nice to get such a rare set of aircraft into the UK skies once again, Riyadh doing the job all the time. It was honestly such a surprise. We didn't know about this until quite late on. And it's just a great surprise because I do love a good helicopter display. I think if you get a really dynamic one, which they were doing things like touch and goes, etc. off the runway, it's a brilliant routine. And it's kind of different as well because we have our own pairs display in the Royal Navy Black Cats. But at the same time, it was different to that. It was its own rendition, their own display. It's not, sometimes you get display teams and it kind of feels samey sometimes with the way that things happen with the opposition passes, etc. But this was so different. It was so nice and refreshing, and to have that as part of the display at Riyadh, with lots of other brilliant helicopter displays, by the way. I mean, think about the Black Hawk from Sweden, the Merlin from Portugal. You're throwing that in with what was a stacked, rare helicopter lineup at Riyadh this year, and that is why that comes in as my top pick for last Airshow season. Harry, what are you going with?
Well, I'd have to go with, as probably going to sound quite cliche, but probably not surprising coming from me. It's always for me was the Battle of Britain Memorial flight. I always love seeing it, and just also understanding that obviously last year was the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, so it was always good to see it fly. And but I also would. I know I'm technically cheating here. There is one other aircraft that did appear there last year, which was an American bomber, and the name of it has quite escaped from me, which is very annoying.
The B1?
I believe it was the
Bow.
B1. Yes, I believe it was, or it may have been. Yes, or it may have been. It's not. It was not the B-29. It might have.
The only bomber that came to Riyadh last year was the B1. So
the B1. So yeah, it was the B1. That was nice to see that in its all chromy goodness. I was very much happy to see that as well. But those two were my highlights of last year, and this was at Riyadh, so I was very happy to see them.
I think the Battle of Britain show their display last year was very different. I think you've got to think about what their routine was. It was very normally you get for a while it's been they come in from behind the crowd, they do a couple of passes as a three ship, you then go into the fighter doing a solo scene, and then the Lancaster does its own solo scene. But this year that didn't actually happen. You had the fighters kind of do their own solo, and they joined very quickly back up for some more passes as a three ship, and then you had that on crowd break at the end where the Lancaster comes screaming over the top with its Merlin engines full pelt, which is, by the way, brilliant sound. And yeah, it was quite a different display, but I guess it was kind of nice. I don't know. It's not. I think it's nice to be a bit different and not be the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to change things up. Keep it fresh. So I would agree with that. It's always nice to see them, and so just to see probably one of the only flying Lancasters, well, in the world that are left, considering thousands were made and only two, the other one being in Canada, but this is the only one in the UK that's still flying.
Yeah, absolutely. Clay, what's yours?
Mine was when Teo broke the sound barrier on his very last day, and also getting to meet him with Joffrey.
Yep, so for those of you that were at the campsite at the... what?
I remember this.
Yeah, so we'd been on the actual airfield on the Sunday, and we'd come back to the tent in the campsite, and we... it was just before Teo decided to do his last ever display at Riyadh with the Danish F-16, and his last high-speed pass, he managed to... It definitely was transonic. Maybe he broke the sound barrier a little bit, but you got a little pop as he went over the top in his high-speed pass, which was very, very nice, very, very fitting way to end his display. And also, that morning as well on the Sunday, we got to meet Teo, had quite a long conversation with him, didn't we? And he showed him our Joffrey, and yeah, what a down-to-earth person he is, and it's going to be a shame that he's not on the airshow scene anymore, because what he could do with that F-16 was one of the best displays. especially how it worked up in the last couple of years to being one of the best F-16 displays in Europe, especially with the absence of the Belgian display. He's an absolute down-to-earth guy, and honestly, really, really nice to meet him. And I hope in the future we get to meet him at some point, whether or not that's through another air show, through him displaying something else, or whatever or not. Because, yeah, one of the great pilots to meet at RIAT, and will be a missed display. Absolutely.
Indeed.
Okay, and that is all we have time for on this podcast. It is the airshow season now. We are ramping up. We're in 2026. RIAT announcements start from their latest email. It says a few weeks. So we will be getting in, I presume on our next podcast, we might chuck in a few predictions and see what we think might be coming to there and see if we can hit any points to get some points off from this show. We have a lot to look forward to. I'm sure the Flying Bulls will be back at another airshow by the time we do another podcast. I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of more cool things to announce, to discuss, to enjoy in this 2026 season. As I said at the start of this episode, I hope you had a good Christmas. I hope you had a good New Year. And we shall see you in the next episode for what this airshow season will bring in 2026. I've been Dan. Joining me has been Harry and Chloe. Goodbye.
Goodbye.